You're back home on this man's home territory here.
That's right, yeah. It's the Dave Mooney, who is a Bray native from Charmwood in Bray, who moved to Madrid how many years ago?
18 years ago, 93. And my last gig in Ireland was here in the Harbour bar.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. On this very
In what year?
stage. 91.
In 91.
1991. Before your time, lads.
20 years later.
Tell me, I mean, obviously we have a bit of history now.
Yeah.
But since I last saw you back in, whenever it was, 1986.
We were in diapers back then, though, weren't we?
Certainly were. But you did stuff in Romania and stuff like that first, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, my sort of musical journey, I have to put that in there somewhere, was, after school, I was playing piano bars and stuff around Dublin. Throughout university, I did psychology and I was playing piano bars just to earn a few quid. And I was lucky enough to meet some singers who ended up inviting me to sing with them in the Eurovision, and that was with Linda Martin and Niamh Kavanagh back in '92 and '3. And then subsequently I went to Romania, I went to Bali, a lot of sort of song competitions and stuff like that. And I was just learning my trade, learning my performance sort of skills or whatever. And so it was kind of like, and then getting a band together later on and touring around Ireland up until '99 when I myself moved to Madrid, which ended up me meeting these three.
That was going to be the next question. How did this come together?
Well, I was working with Howard actually, teaching English in an academy. Dave was working in the bar across the street serving pints, but he had been in a very big movie in Spain, so we got talking about it one day. And then you introduced me to Robbie.
Yeah, I introduced Gareth to Robbie, who I'd played with previously loads of times.
So it was kind of like not sort of, it was accidental that four foreigners, English-speaking people, would end up forming a band in Madrid. We did work with Spanish people before that, drummers and guitarists, but the sort of the uniqueness of our acoustic lineup brought us closer together as a band, and more people started to book us as a four-piece, and it went from there.
You became the Gareth Wall band.
Yeah.
You've actually had a couple of albums out.
Yeah, we released two albums, Sky Pointing in 2007, which actually just came out in America last year, and Hands and Imperfections, which came out 2009, and this new one. But of course, this new one is now under a new band name. We're called Track Dogs, and I think Robbie will explain to you why the name Track Dogs.
It's obviously railway related anyway, yeah?
Yeah, specifically the underground, the metro, or the subway in New York. The crews that work in the tunnels in the subway that work together while the trains are still running are called track dogs. It's like a nickname. They're sort of like miners, and they go around in these crews from station to station in the tunnels, and they're called track dogs.
And they're a pretty close-knit bunch. They have to look after each other. So it was kind of maybe a good name for us, because as a four-piece we're very close as friends and as colleagues, and it's a case of working together and looking after each other, and in the industry the way it is, that's essential.
The album's called Track Dogs.
The album's called Track Dogs. We decided to keep it the same name as the band for not to confuse any further, because it's kind of difficult to change the name. But in 4 months that we are existing as Track Dogs, we've actually achieved probably as much, if not more, than the 4 years that we worked under Gareth Wall band. So we're pretty happy with the change. I mean, rebranding is always tough, but
it's a pity too, because the one thing that's a pity is that we spent Howard, Dave, and myself, the three of us, we spent years and years looking for a singer whose name was Gareth Wall, and then suddenly we got rid of the name just like that.
That's the alternate story. Yeah. We keep that one quiet. Yeah.
But the new material, it's quite more upbeat than from the last Gareth Wall album.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, it's definitely more up-tempo, more dynamic, more eclectic. We're using more harmonies, the four of us are singing. There's also, all of us are writing songs on the album. Everyone has an original piece. I think the actual rhythm or the vibe of the album wasn't necessarily a conscious choice. It was just what was coming out at the time. But when we put every song back to back, we realized, well, this is a very dynamic album. It's got more energy. And it kind of reflected where we are right now. We're ready to go with a lot of things. You know?
And where's the album going to be available now? Is it on iTunes yet? Or?
The album is now out on iTunes worldwide. So it's been out for a few days. It was ahead of planned release date, which is good. And we're now bit by bit releasing it physically, which is obviously a very difficult thing to do, and not necessarily the best thing to do at the moment. But we're releasing it in Spain next week, and we're releasing it in about a week or 2 weeks in Ireland physically. But we're selling it at gigs. It's available through the website, trackdogsmusic.com. And for us, actually playing live and meeting people and selling them the record is our favorite way of doing it. So shops may always have a certain importance, but the one-to-one is great.
Well, am I right in saying you kind of gig in spurts? You do small tours here, there, everywhere. Like, I mean, in between when you're not recording and not gigging, I mean, are you busy all the time? What way is?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment we're actually going to be. I don't think there's a weekend between now and July that we're not touring. It's going to be a very, very active time. We're trying to do 52 provinces of Spain in 1 year, which is quite an ordeal. It's also Robbie's idea. It's his fault or credit, one or the other. But
we'll decide later whether it's fault or credit.
Exactly. Well, we're all involved in different bands. Howard, you're in. What's the band you're in?
I play with Watch Out. I play with it's a soul funk band. I'm the singer and I'm one of the singers and mainly playing trumpet. And then I play with a more electronic band, and then a band called Fritanga, which is like a fusion of flamenco with Latin and various other things. And but I mean, most of my time, at least for the next few months, we're going to be with Track Dogs because
we're not very popular with all these other bands. That's for sure.
So not when you're doing 52 dates.
No, and we're going to Switzerland and perhaps further afield, but it's great because we're all. I mean, Dave plays. You play with.
Yes, I play with the CC Riders, the hardest working Elvis tribute band in Madrid, and also the only one, which is good.
And at the same time, we're keeping busy with as a label as well, because the four of us are our own record label, and so hopefully one of Howie's band, Watch Out, will hopefully be releasing their album on our own label. So,
yeah, we've released 12 or 13 albums to date on iTunes as a label. We're also
going to start distribution.
Yeah, we're kind of getting into the distribution now, just as it's winding down.
I remember in the early days you were all about doing your own distribution as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always felt that control, or at least I've learned the hard way that control is the most important thing. And now it is actually the rule of thumb almost, because very few people can benefit from being with a major label, and most artists who even are with majors will actively try to get out of those deals. So we've learned that, and we've tried to, from the very beginning, work things that way. And we knew that for a while it would be a bit of it would be difficult, it would be a bit of a struggle. But we're actually starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're coming around the corner now, and that's very encouraging.
And you mentioned the second album of Gareth Wall album is now available in America. Does that mean you plan to actually go over there and tour?
When we released the label, or the first album was taken by a small label in New York called Cosmic Trigger, and they have released Sky Pointing, a US version with different artwork and everything. That came out in October last year. So we've been talking with them for a while now to look to organize dates, and we have sort of penciled in July, but we're flexible. We want to combine it with lots of other things, but obviously America is, Robbie's from the US, and we have yet to play in his hometown or home territory. So it's really, really important for us, and and in conjunction with our work putting music into cinema and television. That goes hand in hand very much with what we want to do over there. So yeah, so it'll be a long year, but we're looking forward to it.
And then once that is over, are you going to go back to studio again and try and develop more track dogs, or are you thinking that far down the line?
We've got various songs there are songs on the back burner waiting to come out, and I mean the idea is to do more and more and more and more. Not to win a game, not to win a contest, but to perpetuate play. So.
Sure.
But we're not thinking about the next one. By any means, we're just going, phew, with this one.
Yeah, I mean we've turned it around quite quickly with getting into the studio, recording, and everything else. So we don't plan to certainly do another album for quite a while now. We might do individual tracks. We have a couple of ideas for tracks for indie movies that we may do that. Also, we got to keep busy, because if we let up for any amount of time, one of these guys' bands are going to grab them and try to do. Robbie is probably the busiest man in Madrid. He plays cajon and percussion with a plethora of bands. So
one of which played on the album.
Yeah, we have a lovely collaboration on the album with a band called La Banda del Soplo, who are a four-piece brass band, and they're absolutely astounding. So we've had a lot of nice collaborations, and we're looking forward to actually doing some live work with them as well. So it's great. I mean, we love the variety and the chance to work with different people and do different things. So being our own label, publisher, management and promotion company has its advantages. But we're starting to outsource. We can't do everything.
I love that outsource.
Yeah,
We're now a global project.
That's how it
outsourcing
is.
beyond Madrid. Yeah,
That's how it is. It's like whenever I always say the same thing, but whenever we're on stage, all four of us, there's no one answering the telephone.
That's true. Well, you usually have your mobile with you on stage.
It didn't look like you were answering your telephone actually in the gig today. We're recording.
Thank you. Okay, guys, I think that's pretty good there. We got the makings of a good interview there. So, best of luck with it.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Appreciate it.
Hope it all goes well.
Thanks, well. You'll be the first to know. Thanks, man.
The first media job. Great stuff. Thanks, Liam.
Very good, man. It's brilliant.